Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Kenyatta and I'm back with another video in my HTML crash course. In this video we're going to talk about a few basics of HTML structures and then we're going to create a first HTML page, okay? So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to cover is the HTML tags. All right, what are tags? So basically, every element that you create on the page consists of an opening and a closing HTML tag. All right, so if you look at my example here, I have a paragraph tag. We have the opening P tag, closing P tag. Now, the way we create these tags in HTML, we use what we call an opening bracket. The letter of the element, in this case a P for paragraph, and we have a closing bracket. Now, same thing, I know most people call it or associate it with the greater than and less than signs, symbols or sign. That's fine. It just when we do HTML, you will hear it commonly known as opening bracket, closing bracket. Okay. Now, with that being said, when you create HTML tags, they always come in pairs for the most part. Okay. So in my example, I have an opening P tag followed by a closing P tag. All right. The only difference between the two is the /, which you see I indicated here with the blue slash here. Okay. So tags always come in pairs for the most part, and I will go over the ones that do not come in pairs. But for the most part, they always come in pairs. We have an opening P tag and closing P tag, and those are your tags. Next thing on the list, we have HTML elements. All right, an HTML element is basically anything that you put in between the open and closing tags, but including the tags as well. So the tags, along with the content in between, that creates or that comes up to make an element for you. Okay, an HTML element. So again, in my example, I have a paragraph element. You know, I have content in between the two paragraph tags, the opening and closing tags. Or I have content in between the opening and closing heading element tags. Okay, so basically we have tags, which is the opening and closing, and then we have the content in between. All together makes an element, an HTML element. Okay, so that's what we have here. And then the last thing I'm gonna cover at this moment will be the HTML Doctype. All right, so simply put, this just tells the browser what version of HTML you are using. Okay, right now we're at HTML5, but it tells the browser which version of HTML that you're using. All right, and this is not a tag or an HTML element. This is more of an instruction for the web browser, so it knows what to do when it renders the page. Okay, and to create this this instruction, you just use open and closing brackets, and we have an exclamation point and the word Doctype followed by HTML, which is what we're running. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and create our first document. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create a new folder on our desktop or wherever you prefer to have the folder. Me, I will put it on my desktop. All right, and I will call my folder Learn HTML. All right, once you create the folder, just right click on it, and you should have a choice that says open with code. So we'll just click on that, and it will pop it open in VS Code. All right, and maximize this here. So let's give it a second to load up. All right, so now when it comes up, you'll see a welcome screen, and then on the left here we have the project folder, project tree. Okay, so you can see the title of the folder. It says Learn HTML. This is what I call mine. All right, and the only open page I have is a welcome page here. Now, if I want to create a file, you'll see this little icon that says new file. So I'm going to click this icon, and I'm going to call this file index.html. All right, so index.html. And really quickly, the reason why the first page is called the index page is because when you put in the browser, when you put in the URL in the browser and it goes out and search for that website, by default it looks it looks for an index page. No matter where it goes, it looks for an index page because it knows that's the start of the website. Okay, so that's what we call it, the index page. You can call your other pages whatever, about me, services, or whatever you're doing, but the first page is usually called the index page. All right, so we have our index page, and the first thing we need to create will be our Doctype, so we can tell the browser what kind of page this is. So if you remember how that would look, it was an opening bracket, exclamation point, and Doctype in all caps, followed by HTML in just lowercase. All right, and that's all you need for the first part. And let me bump this up so you guys can maybe see a little bit better. Okay, so that's the first step. We have the Doctype. The next thing we need will be our HTML element or HTML tags. So again, open a bracket, we'll type HTML, and with VS Code it automatically completes the other tag for you. So I'm just going to hit enter here. Now the HTML tags, basically anything we put between these tags will be our HTML document or our web page. Okay, so anything that we create will fit between these two tags. All right, now the next thing we need to create here will be a head element. All right, we have a head element. So in this level, so what the head element does, it contains or it holds data that the web browser needs to understand about your site. So again, if you use my example from earlier, when you put in the URL and the web browser goes out and fetch that web page, not only does it scan to see what kind of page it is by looking at its Doctype, but it also scans the head element to see, just to make sure that what it's requesting or what you're requesting is what it's getting. Okay, so it will have meta information for the browser. Okay, so one of the details that you get for the browser will be a title tag, so a title element. So I'll see a title, and this will I will call it my first web page. Okay, and that'll be my title. So again, this is something that we do not see. This is only for the browser. To get to the content that you and I will see if we open a web page, that's an element called the body. All right. So we have an opening, a closing body tag. So anything we put in here, anything that we put here is what you and I will see on the website, on a web page. Okay. So for example, if I pull this back up, let's see here. If I pull this back up, I have this whole window here. This is the body. Basically, this is the body of the web page. All right, so this is what we will see. Okay, so anything we put here will show there. Now, inside the body, I'm going to start talking about a couple of the elements. All right, so the main one I want to talk about now will be the heading elements. So those will start with the H1 tags here. I'm gonna call it heading. It's a heading element. So if I save this, right click on the folder, I can actually do this in browser. So let me open it and see Explorer, and then right click on the file or double click, either way, and we'll open it up in the web browser. So we see here, and let me do this. All right. All right, so here we go. So if you look here, again, anything I put in the head tag, we don't see it on the page. Anything within the head element is only for the browser to read. For example, if you look here at my tag, at the tab here, it says my first web page. This is the title for the browser. Okay, everything in the body is what you and I will see. So, we're talking about this heading element. We have H1s. Now, the heading elements have different sizes. All right, there's roughly 6 sizes for the head element, and they all serve different purposes. Excuse me. So H1 being the most important, H6 being the least important. So I'm gonna go ahead and just copy and paste this really quickly to show you just a few of them here. So if I go and change this, we have H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. If I save this and you look at my web page here, and let me refresh, you now see that I have different size for the heading tags. Okay, so the heading is kind of like if you look at a newspaper, right? You have the headline at the top that catches your attention, and then you have the content below. Same idea here. Now, The next one I want to kind of cover here will be the paragraph tags that you saw in my example before in my slides. So the paragraph tag is basically what it is. This is where you write all your content or paragraph related information. So I will say this is a paragraph. Sentence. So I'll go ahead and save that, refresh the page, and you'll see I have a paragraph on the page, right? So pretty simple. Now, unlike the heading elements, paragraph doesn't come with different versions of them. It's only a paragraph tag that you will use. So any piece of content that you're writing on the page will be mostly found in a paragraph tag, okay? So in the next video, I will go over a few more elements and how they work, okay? And if you found this video to be helpful for you, go ahead and give a thumbs up down below, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.